Good morning to everybody. שיעור נשמתם של הקדושים והטהורים. parashat Chaiyey Sarah. It's a very interesting parasha. And Rashi explains to us Chaiyey Sarah, but we're talking about the death of Sarah, which is also an issue by itself. But first of all, let's understand what's going on here. We see Avraham Avinu coming back from the Akedah, and suddenly they tell him, your wife Sarah, your beloved wife Sarah, died in Hebron. And he goes there and is having a whole discussion about burying Sarah Imenu in Ma'arat HaMachpelah. And this is what we call Chesed Shel Emet. This is kindness of truth. Chesed Shel Emet. Why is this Chesed Shel Emet? And by the way, when we want to describe Avraham Avinu kindness, his behavior, we would say the main issue of Avraham Avinu is Achnasat Orchim. We all know it. He was sitting in his tent on the third day of his Brit Milah. An old guy is hurting, and he's sitting in the entrance of the tent, the heat of the day, and God took the sun out, so he's really, really hot. And he is suffering. But he wants guests. And only when the guests come, he's filled with happiness, he can do a mitzvah. So this is something heroic. This is when we talk about the Chesed of Avraham Avinu, we'll say this is the issue. But the Gemara says the whole different thing. Rodef Chesed says somebody who changed Chesed, chases Chesed, chases kindness, is Avraham Avinu. And where do we learn it? From the burial of Sarah Imenu. Do you know anybody that will not bury his wife, Chas v'Shalom? This is chesed. This is a normal thing. What do you mean? If you're not going to do it, people are going to speak at you. Of course you're going to do it. So what's so special about it? Here we have to understand there are a few levels of doing good with people, of being kind, of doing tzedakah. The first way is you give tzedakah to a poor guy. He knows who you are. You know who he is. The second level is you give tzedakah to the poor. He doesn't know who gave it to him. And the third level is, you don't know who the guy or the poor man is, and the poor man doesn't know who you are. This is really, nobody knows. It's really chesed at a very high level. But there is another chesed, and that's chesed shel emet. Chesed that we do with the burial, chesed we do when we go to a levaya. It's called chesed shel emet, with the death. That's chesed shel emet. Why? Because the death cannot give you anything back. So you got no benefit. But let's go deep into it. Avraham Avinu, when he is doing all those good things, is he happy about it? Is he enjoying it? He's got a benefit out of it? Yes. He enjoys it. He loves it. He is happy when he can do a mitzvah. So in other words, the level of Avraham Avinu is got a benefit out of it. But when he now has to bury Sarah Imenu, there is no benefit. There is no joy in burying your wife, your beloved wife. And with all this, the only thing you want to do now is bury her and finish it. And she is lying there, and you're going to have a whole discussion with Bnei Chet when they tell you, you can bury her wherever you want. No, I want Ma'arat HaMachpelah. And then he tells you, okay, take the place. No, I want to buy it. I don't want a present. And he's having all this discussion in order to get Ma'arat HaMachpelah, that he owns it from all, the Or HaChaim HaKadosh says, he went through all the laws of the Torah, the laws of the Goyim, in order to make it his property 100%. And all of this he's doing while he is in a pain. He is sad. This is Chesed Shel Emet. Because he knows he has to bury Sarah Imenu in Ma'arat HaMachpelah. How does he know it? Because look at all the circumstances which are happening. Where do they live? In Beersheba. We see that after the Akedah, Avram is going back to Beersheba. He's living in Beersheba, not in Hebron. So what is Sarah Imenu doing in Hebron? She got there. How? Why? Why did she got there? Because her time has come. And all those explanations that what's happening was before the time of Sarah has come, and God wanted her to be buried in Hebron in Ma'arat HaMachpelah. And Avraham Avinu knew it, and that's why he's not taking her to Beersheba. And he's having a whole discussion. He wants to bury her in Me'arat HaMachpelah. How does he know it? Because when the guest came, the angels, to tell him about the birth of Yitzchak, and Sarah was in the tent, and he went and wanted to prepare a good meal for them, he was chasing one of the cows, and he says, Ela bakar ratz Avraham. He ran after the bakar, after the cattle. But then it says the bakar, when you change the letter, is kever, it's a grave. So in other words, he was running to a grave, that's the inside of the story, and he got to Me'arat HaMachpelah, and he saw Adam HaRishon and Chava lying there, and a candle. And he understood that this is the entrance to Olam Haba. That's the connection. And that's why it's called Me'arat HaMachpelah. Double. What's double? The connection between this world and the next world. And what is Chevron? Chibur. Connection. And that's exactly where he has to bury Sarah Imenu. And it does all of this. Now, when we look at this, is this a test? This is wow. This is, even if we think about it, this is at the same level as Akedat Yitzchak, if not more. This is his beloved wife, and with Yitzchak, eventually he didn't sacrifice him. So why is this not one of the tests? One is the Torah telling us that the last test is Lech Lecha El Eretz HaMoriah, Akedat Yitzchak. And what with this? This is not a test. And here we come to a very interesting point that we have to remember. We said, Aser Satan milfaneinu u'machareinu. We ask God that He will remove Satan, the Yetzer Hara, milfaneinu, in front of us, and on the back of us, me'achoreinu. What does it mean? I understand that Satan is standing in our way, doesn't want us to do the mitzvah. But after I did the mitzvah, what's the problem? And that's exactly the point. After you did the mitzvah, comes Yisrael and tells you, look what happened. For example, you did tzedakah. He says, look, you lost money. Why did you do this? And if something happens, he's trying to turn everything. Everything happened because of the mitzvah you did. Do you have this sometimes? And the feeling is bad. Why did I do this mitzvah? Now, the minute you regret on the mitzvah, you finish the mitzvah. There is no mitzvah because you regret it. You don't regret on good things you do. But this is that evil Yetzer Hara, Satan, that is standing behind what you do. Before you do it, he is trying to convince you, don't do it, it's no good. Then when you do it, he's doing some difficulties, as we saw with Akedat Yitzchak. Before Satan came and wanted to disturb, and during, and after he did it, do you think it's finished? No. Now Yetzer Hara comes to you and tells you, why did you do it? Look what happened. Look, Sarah Imenu died because of what you did. Your beloved wife died because of it. Wow, wow, wow. But what is Avraham Avinu doing? He knows that whatever God is doing is all for the best. And with all the sorrow and with all the sadness, he makes sure that he is going to bury Sarah Imenu in the place where she has to be buried, Me'arat HaMachpelah. So in other words, this is not a new test. This is apart from the whole test of Akedat Yitzchak. And now we understand the greatness of this test of Akedat Yitzchak, with the before and with the after. And when we're talking about Sarah Imenu, and look at the way her life is being described, we have another very important point to see. Let's look how it's written. Vayu Chaiyey Sarah, and the life of Sarah were 100 shana, 100 year, 20 year, and 7 year. Shnei Chaiyey Sarah. What is Shnei Chaiyey Sarah? The years of Sarah. Or Shnei is like Shnayim, 2, or double. Do you see the connection between Me'arat HaMachpelah? Machpelah is double. Double, the double cape, Me'arat HaMachpelah, between Shnei Chaiyey Sarah. And by the way, the same thing is written with Avram Avinu. People don't realize it. Let's see what's written with Avram Avinu. Here. It's unbelievable. Ve'elu yemei shnei chayei. Again, those are the years of life. Shnei chayei, 2 lives. Again, the same thing, the same phrase. Avraham asher chai 100 shana. Again, 100 year, 70 year, and 5 years. Again, instead of saying 175, or with Sarah Imeinu saying 127 years, they separate the years. And one of the interesting is when we see, 1 minute, okay, I cannot find it now, but we're going to go on with what we said. The thing what we say is that they used every period. You see, like a few years ago when I was in a Latin hotel, and I saw those old people having tattoos and rings in the nose, and look at them, they look ridiculous. Or you see the little girls dressed like adults. It's a joke. Why do you do this? And this is exactly the point that Torah wants to tell us. You know, there is, first of all, each period of time, when we talk about when you're young, when you're an adult, when you're old, in each time you have the beauty of the time. You have the beauty when you're young, you have the beauty when you're old, you have the beauty when you get married, and in every stage of life there is a way to live it. Some people sometimes, oh, I wish I was young again, and the young people, I wish I was old. But the real truth is what Abraham and Sarah teaching us, 100 shana, 20 shana ו7 שנים. 100 shana is when you're old already. 20 shana when you're young, a young girl, a young boy, a young man. ו7 שנים, it's when you're a kid, 7 years. And in each one of those stages, Sarah Imeinu and Avraham Avinu used it in the best way. They used the tools they had for the stage they are in the best way they could. And that's what they're telling us. When you're young, there are things you have to do, and you enjoy them. And when you're older, there are other things you have to do, and you enjoy them also. The minute you go and you behave according to the stage you are, this is what God wants for you, and this is for you also. You fulfill yourself. And when you're all the same thing. I always remember, you know, in our family we used to go to visit the elderly of our family, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, whatever. And you come sometimes to a home, and you see some of the old people are sitting and staring the walls, or just looking like they've got nothing in life. And from the other side, you see those that are full of life, learning Torah, doing things, and busy. In other words, that's exactly the point. Even when you're old, there are beautiful things to do. In any stage of life, there is things to do that are suitable for the stage you are. And if you do it, you fulfill your life in the best way, and you feel the best. That's what Abraham is telling us. And then, what is Shnei Chayei? What's the meaning of 2 lives? Shnaim, which is Shanim, can be a year, but also Shtaim too. Here in this world, whatever we do, we build the next world. So there is a connection, a direct connection between what we do in this world to the next world. And this is what Sarah and Abraham are telling us. Here, you feel that you fulfill yourself, you understand that you're doing 2 things. You're not only doing here in this world, you are building your next world. That's Shnei Chayei. And if you do it in the right way, wow, this is the best thing that can be. And this is what we learn from Sarah Imeinu and Avraham Avinu, from a few mishpatim, from the way they are being described, the age is being described. Unbelievable. This is the Torah. And I wish us all to go in the way of Sarah Imenu and Avram Avinu, and understand that God puts us in certain tests, and don't be afraid. Go against the Yetzer Hara, even when it's before us, lefaneinu, and he wants to disturb us from doing the right thing. And if it's after we did the good things, to try to convince us to regret what we do. Let's be aware of those things. Use life in the best way. Each one in his stage, use the tools you have to build both worlds, this world and the next world. All the best.